Blood on the floor, screams echoing through the air. And fans left in absolute shock. The entertainment world has been turned upside down by a fight no one ever saw coming. Claressa, known for her fiery spirit and unshakable confidence, went head-to-head with Remy Ma in what many are now calling one of the most shocking confrontations in hip-hop and celebrity culture. But this wasn't just a heated exchange of words. No, this was a full-blown bloody brawl that left both women fighting not just for pride, but, as sources claim, for their very lives. The clash unfolded in a way that seemed straight out of a reality TV script. Tensions that had been bubbling for months finally exploded in front of stunned onlookers. Eyewitnesses described the scene as chaotic and unreal, with security struggling to separate the two powerful women as chaos erupted around them. Fans are torn between disbelief and outrage, with many taking to social media to declare that this might be the end of a sisterhood, and perhaps the start of a war that no one can stop. But what exactly led to this brutal showdown? And how deep? Do the wounds really go? The night was supposed to be calm, just another star-studded event where celebrities laughed, posed, and pretended that all was perfect in their worlds. But behind the curtains, things were far from perfect. Whispers had been circling for weeks that Claressa and Remy Ma were not on good terms. Fans had noticed subtle jabs in interviews, little shade thrown on social media, and a cold distance whenever they were seen in the same room. Still, no one expected that the silent tension would boil over into a storm that would change everything. Sources say it all began with an accidental encounter. Claressa, already in a fiery mood after a disagreement with her management team, walked into the private lounge where Remy was holding court with friends. The moment their eyes met, the atmosphere shifted. One fan described it later as electricity in the air, the kind that makes your skin crawl before lightning strikes. Remy, known for her sharp tongue and no-nonsense attitude, didn't move. She simply leaned back in her chair, her eyes scanning Claressa up and down as if daring her to make the first move. That single look was enough to light the fuse. "So you just gonna sit there like I'm invisible?" Claressa snapped, her voice carrying across the room. Everyone froze. Remy didn't flinch. "Girl, nobody's checking for you. Calm down before you embarrass yourself." The tension was unbearable. People shifted nervously, whispering, pulling out phones because they could feel something was about to go down. Claressa's face darkened. She had worked too hard to let anyone, especially Remy, dismiss her so easily. "Embarrass myself," Claressa shot back, her voice rising. "You've been running your mouth in interviews, acting like you run everything. But you forgot who I am. You forgot I can end this whole game for you." That was it. The words hit like a dagger. Remy stood up, slow and deliberate, her towering presence sending chills through the room. "End me. Sweetie, I built this. You're just living in the shadow." People gasped. One of Remy's friends tried to hold her back, but she brushed them off. Claressa stepped closer, her fists clenched at her side, her eyes blazing with fury. This wasn't just about ego anymore. It was about pride, legacy, and respect. The verbal sparring escalated, each woman throwing sharper daggers, words laced with venom, until the moment came when talk was no longer enough. Witnesses swear they saw Claressa push the first time, a hard shove that sent Remy stumbling back against the table. Glasses shattered and the room erupted in screams. Security rushed forward, but they weren't fast enough. Remy lunged back at Claressa, grabbing a fistful of her hair and swinging wildly. The two women crashed to the floor, fists flying, nails clawing, pure rage spilling out in a flurry of blows. "Stop! Somebody stop them!" A woman shrieked, but no one dared to get too close. One eyewitness said it was like watching two storms collide. Claressa, the fighter with unmatched strength, used her power to pin Remy down, but Remy, fueled by anger and survival, refused to give up. She fought back with everything she had, leaving both women bloodied within minutes. Fans who later saw snippets of the fight described it as unreal. It was like a movie, one fan wrote on Twitter. Claressa was throwing punches like she was in the ring, and Remy was not backing down. I thought one of them might not make it out alive. Chaos only intensified as friends and associates tried to intervene. Remy's crew yelled at Claressa's people. Claressa's team shouted back. And for a terrifying moment, it seemed like a full-scale riot was about to break out in the lounge. Drinks spilled, chairs toppled, and the sound of flesh meeting flesh filled the air through the mayhem. Claressa screamed, "You don't respect me, but you will tonight." Remy, blood trickling down her cheeks, spat back, "Respect is earned, not forced." Security finally managed to wedge themselves between the two, but by then the damage was already done. Both women were bruised, bleeding, their clothes torn, their reputations hanging in the balance. Fans and friends rushed them to opposite corners of the room as if separating fighters in a ring. Yet even as they were pulled apart, their eyes locked again, still blazing with hatred, still hungry for the fight to continue. What no one expected, though, was the aftermath. Because what happened that night wasn't just a brawl between two strong personalities. It was the spark that ignited a chain of events far more dangerous than anyone could have predicted. Behind closed doors, whispers began to spread. Some said Claressa had been plotting to confront Remy for weeks, tired of being dismissed in the industry. Others claimed Remy had provoked the fight intentionally to prove she was still the queen no one could topple. The stories multiplied, fans debated endlessly, and the media pounced on every detail, exaggerating the feud into a legend. But for those who were in that room, the memory of blood on the floor and the echo of screams was enough to keep them awake. At night, the question on everyone's mind was simple but chilling. If one night of rage could lead to such destruction, what would happen when these two women crossed paths again? And as Claressa was led out of the building, still shouting, still struggling against security, her last words echoed like a warning. This isn't over, not by a long shot. As Claressa's furious voice echoed down the hallway, everyone inside the venue knew this was far from over. The fight might have ended physically, but emotionally and mentally, it had only just begun. Remy Ma, still being tended to by her close circle, pressed a napkin against the cut on her cheek. Her breathing was heavy, her eyes filled with rage and disbelief. "She thinks she's tough," Remy muttered, her voice low but dripping with venom. "But she don't know who she's messing with." One of her friends tried to calm her down, whispering, "Remy, leave it alone. Let security handle it." But Remy's pride was wounded, and in her world, pride was everything outside. Fans had already caught wind of the brawl. Social media was exploding with shaky phone videos, some capturing the screaming, others the shoves and punches. Hashtags with both their names began trending within minutes, memes flying across timelines, and fans taking sides as if it were a championship match. Team Claressa all day showed Remy who's boss. One tweet read, "Nah, Remy Ma is still the queen, she didn't back down from a pro fighter." Others shot back. The world was divided, and so were their families. Behind closed doors, Claressa sat in a separate dressing room, pacing like a caged lioness. Her knuckles were bruised, a small cut above her eye stung, but her anger burned hotter than any pain. She disrespected me in front of everyone. She shouted at her manager. She tried to make me look weak, not letting that slide. Her manager tried to reason with her. "Claressa, this isn't the boxing ring. This is the industry. Every move you make is under the microscope. You don't need this kind of press." But Claressa wasn't hearing it. "Press? This is survival. She's been trying to block me for months. This was bound to happen." The tension seeped into their families too. Remy's husband, Papoose, known for always standing by her side, was furious when he heard what happened. "They let her get that close. They let her put hands on my wife." He raged during a late-night phone call, his voice thundering in the background of a leaked recording. "Somebody's gonna pay for this." The clip spread like wildfire, igniting speculation that the feud had now expanded beyond just Remy and Claressa. Fans whispered about retaliation, about family wars that could spiral out of control. Meanwhile, Claressa's mother spoke to a local reporter, her voice trembling with both fear and pride. "My daughter's a fighter. She's always been one. But I never thought I'd see her like this. I just hope it doesn't destroy her." The emotional toll was undeniable. Remy's daughter was reportedly in tears after hearing about the fight, begging her mother to walk away before things got worse. Claressa's younger cousins were teased at school, classmates mocking them with headlines from gossip blogs, as the dust began to settle from the initial chaos. Rumors of a secret meeting started to swirl. Insiders claimed that mutual industry friends were trying to get both women in the same room to squash the beef before it spiraled further. But when word of that reached Claressa, her response was chilling. "Meet with her? Never. The next time I see her, I'm finishing it." On the other side, Remy was just as unyielding. "I think I'm scared of her. I've been through worse. I'll look her in the eye again, and she'll regret ever stepping up to me." The media fed on every word, every rumor, every grainy clip. One blog claimed Remy was secretly pressing charges, while another reported that Claressa was training harder than ever, using the fight as fuel for her workouts. The fans didn't make it easier. They egged both women on, demanding round two, comparing the clash to legendary celebrity feuds of the past. "This is bigger than Nicki versus Cardi," one viral post declared. Days later, the two women came dangerously close to crossing paths again. At a charity event in New York, both were scheduled to appear. Event organizers panicked when they realized the mistake, scrambling to adjust the schedule. Still, whispers of a second showdown filled the air. Security was doubled, barricades set up, and every fan in attendance waited, phones in hand, hoping to capture history repeating itself. Claressa arrived first, striding in with her head high, dressed sharply, looking unbothered. But her eyes scanned the room, searching for any sign of Remy. People noticed her jaw clenched tight, her fists occasionally flexing as if preparing for another fight. An hour later, Remy entered. The energy shifted instantly. Conversations hushed, cameras lifted, and every heartbeat in the room seemed to sync with the tension between them. For a moment, it looked like they would collide again. The two locked eyes from across the hall, neither willing to look away. The air so thick with hostility that people swore they could feel it pressing down on their skin. Remy smirked, a slow, deliberate curve of her lips, and mouthed something inaudible. Claressa's eyes narrowed. Her breathing quickened. But before the situation could escalate, event staff quickly whisked Remy toward the stage, desperately avoiding a repeat of the bloody lounge brawl. Still, that brief encounter only deepened the divide. Fans zoomed in on the video's lip reading. Remy's words, "Smith swore," she mouthed, "You can't touch me," while others believed it was, "This ain't over." Whichever version was true, the tension grew. Friends of both women confessed they were terrified. "This is bigger than music, bigger than fame," one insider revealed. "This is personal now. And when it's personal, nothing can stop it." Drama reached a boiling point when Claressa went live on Instagram late one night. Bruised but fierce, she stared into the camera, her voice steady yet seething with anger. "I don't back down. Never have, never will. Remy thought she could humiliate me, but all she did was show the world how weak she really is. She wants round two? I'll be waiting." Millions tuned in. Comments flew across the screen. "Queen energy. Remy, better watch out. This gonna end bad." And as the live ended, Claressa's last words sent chills through fans everywhere. "This story doesn't end until one of us is down for good." Meanwhile, Remy was already preparing her own response. And when it came, it would set the stage for something darker. Something neither woman could walk away from. The world didn't have to wait long for Remy's response. Within hours of Claressa's fiery Instagram live, Remy dropped a bombshell of her own. Sitting in a dimly lit studio, her face still bearing faint scars from the brawl. She looked straight into the camera. Her tone was calm, but her words cut like knives. "People love to see a circus," Remy began, her voice low and steady. "But let me make one thing clear. I'm not some clown you can play with. I don't fight for cameras. I fight for respect, and if anybody thinks they can take that from me, they're sadly mistaken." Fans flooded the comments instantly. Some cheered her on. Others accused her of dodging Claressa's challenge. Remy leaned forward, her eyes narrowing as if speaking directly to her rival. "She wants to play tough. She should remember I've survived battles way worse than anything she's ever been through. She doesn't scare me. Not now, not ever." The internet exploded. News outlets replayed the clip endlessly, analysts debating who really held the upper hand. Some claimed Remy's calm demeanor meant she was unfazed, while others argued it was proof she was planning something bigger, something deadlier. Behind the scenes, the feud was tearing lives apart. Claressa's sponsors began pulling out, worried about her violent outbursts damaging their brand. Remy, too, faced backlash, with critics accusing her of glorifying violence. Families, fans, and business partners were forced to pick sides, deepening. The divide. Claressa, however, remained unbothered. "They can take their money," she told a friend during a leaked phone call. "But nobody's gonna take my pride. I'd rather lose it all than let Remy think she's above me." The fight had grown beyond two women throwing punches. It was now about legacy, about who would be remembered as the stronger, the fiercer, the true queen. Whispers began to circulate of a secret meeting that had gone horribly wrong. Insiders claimed that industry leaders had invited both women to a private mansion in New Jersey, hoping to broker peace. But instead of calming tensions, the meeting nearly reignited the brawl. One source described the moment Remy walked into the room. Claressa was already pacing, fists clenched. The second she saw Remy, she froze. Remy just smirked, and I swear, it was like throwing gasoline on a fire. They didn't even sit down. Within minutes, they were screaming at each other again. Reportedly, Claressa shouted, "You think this is over because you sat in front of a camera. You think calm words make you a queen? No, you bleed like anyone else," Remy fired back. "And you think throwing hands makes you powerful? No, real power is knowing I don't need to touch you to ruin you." Security rushed them apart before things got physical, but the damage was done. The possibility of peace had been shattered, replaced with a looming sense of inevitability. Fans began predicting when and where the next fight would happen. Blogs ran polls, sports channels debated the matchup as if it were a professional event, and Twitter turned every glance, every post, every lyric Remy dropped into ammunition for the ongoing War. One late night. Claressa took to Twitter, writing cryptically, "She talks too much. Soon, she'll talk no more." The tweet went viral with millions of retweets and fans speculating whether it was a literal threat or just another piece of the show. Remy responded with equal sharpness. "The loudest in the room is usually the weakest. Watch me prove it." There, back and forth became the stuff of legend, turning friends into enemies and fans into warriors online. But while the internet treated it as entertainment, those closest to them saw the darkness in their eyes. They knew this was spiraling toward something that could leave scars much deeper than bruises. The turning point came at a surprise birthday party for a mutual friend. Neither Claressa nor Remy was supposed to attend, but both showed up, and the atmosphere instantly turned icy. Music thumped. People laughed. But all eyes were on the two women across the room from each other. Claressa, dressed in a sleek black outfit, sipped her drink with a glare so sharp it could cut glass. Remy, in a glittering gown, pretended to laugh at a joke, but her eyes never left her rival. The tension was unbearable, and the room fell silent when Claressa suddenly set her drink down and began walking straight toward Remy. Every step was like a drumbeat. Remy straightened her back, refusing to move, her jaw tightening. Whispers rippled through the crowd. "Oh my God, it's happening again." The two women stopped just inches apart, their eyes locked. Claressa spoke first, her voice low, but venomous. "I told you, this story doesn't end until one of us is down." Remy tilted her head slightly, her smirk returning. "Then be careful what you wish for." Before anyone could blink, Claressa lunged forward. But this time, Remy was. "Ready?" The two clashed again, knocking over chairs, shattering glass. Screams filling the room as chaos erupted for the second time. Friends tried desperately to pull them apart. But the fury was too raw, too unstoppable. Claressa landed a brutal punch. That sent Remy reeling. But Remy came back swinging, her nails raking across Claressa's skin, drawing fresh blood. "Stop." "Not here." Someone screamed, but the battle raged on. A storm too violent to contain. Security eventually managed to drag them apart. Both women thrashing, screaming, bloodied once again. The party was ruined, the friendship circles shattered, and the feud, now written in stone. Fans outside the party caught snippets of the aftermath. Videos showed Claressa being shoved into a car, shouting, "This is war," while Remy, clutching her arm, yelled back, "You don't know who you're dealing with." The entire city buzzed with fear and fascination. Insiders whispered that law enforcement was getting involved, investigating whether charges could be filed. Yet both women remained defiant, refusing to back down. Their pride refusing to allow peace. And as the world held its breath, one thing became terrifyingly clear. This wasn't just a feud anymore. This was survival. That the night of the birthday party left the city buzzing with fear and fascination. Videos of Claressa and Remy's bloody second brawl were everywhere, from gossip blogs to mainstream news outlets. Headlines screamed about two queens at war, and the footage of them being dragged out in opposite directions was replayed endlessly. The streets were alive with debates, fans taking sides like rival armies. But inside their personal circles, things were no longer just entertainment. The feud had become poison. Claressa sat in her car after the fight, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead, her chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. Her cousin, who sat beside her, whispered nervously, "You gotta stop. This is getting too dangerous." Claressa's eyes burned with rage. "Stop! She tried to humiliate me again in front of everyone. I'm not stopping until she learns I'm not the one to play with." Meanwhile, across town, Remy was nursing her injuries in silence. Tous stood by her side, his face twisted with fury. "They're pushing you, baby! They're trying to drag your name through the dirt. But we're not letting that happen. We're gonna handle this." Remy finally spoke, her voice low, steady, but filled with venom. "She thinks fighting me makes her powerful. But power is more than fists. I'm about to show her real power." The threat was clear. While Claressa focused on physical dominance, Remy was preparing a war of reputation, influence, and connections. Within days, rumors spread that Remy was pulling strings behind the scenes, calling in favors, reaching out to powerful voices in the industry. Venues suddenly canceled appearances for Claressa. Sponsors quietly stepped back. And friends who once cheered for her began to vanish. Claressa noticed the shift instantly. "They're turning on me," she muttered during another live session with fans. Her voice cracked with frustration. "But I know who's behind it. Remy. She's scared because I gave her what nobody else dared to, a real fight. And she knows. She can't handle me again." Fans erupted in the comments, some siding with her, others accusing her of playing victim. One wrote, "This isn't boxing, Claressa. This is life." And in life, Remy got the connections. Another shot back, "Connections don't save you when fists fly." The divide was deeper than ever. The families, too, were at breaking points. Remy's daughter refused to attend school, embarrassed by the constant questions. Claressa's younger siblings were bullied online, fans of Remy sending them cruel messages. Every action, every post, every rumor became fuel to the fire. And then came the twist no one saw coming. A leaked video surfaced online, reportedly from the dressing room after the first brawl. In the shaky footage, Claressa was seen shouting, "I swear, if I see her again, it's gonna be blood." The clip went viral within minutes, with fans declaring it evidence that Claressa had premeditated the second fight. Claressa's team scrambled to do damage control, claiming the video was taken out of context. But the damage was already done. Industry insiders whispered that authorities were now considering charges of assault. With Remy's lawyers allegedly preparing a case, the possibility of jail time shocked fans. "This gone too far," one user wrote. They wanted entertainment, but now someone might lose their freedom. Claressa, however, refused to show fear. In another fiery outburst, she shouted, "Let them come for me. I'll fight in a cell. If I have to, nothing breaks me. Nothing." Remy, in contrast, released a polished interview with a major magazine. Dressed elegantly, her wounds covered with makeup, she calmly addressed the situation. "I don't condone violence," she said, her tone measured. "But when you're pushed, when your name is constantly dragged, sometimes you defend yourself. I'm just protecting my peace." The calculated calmness painted her as the victim, winning sympathy from fans and brands alike. It was a clever move, and it left Claressa fuming. But the feud refused to die down. Fans demanded a final showdown, a conclusion to the chaos. Memes circulated of round 3, hashtags trended daily, and even celebrities began weighing in, some siding with Claressa's fiery strength, others with Remy's composed resilience. The climax came during a surprise encounter in Los Angeles. Both women were spotted at the same luxury restaurant, their entourages on edge the second they realized the mistake. Whispers spread like wildfire, diners pulling out phones, waiting for the inevitable. Claressa spotted Remy across the room, her body tensing like a spring, ready to snap. Remy, cool as ever, took a slow sip of her drink, her eyes meeting Claressa's with that same smirk that had started it all. "Don't," Claressa's manager begged, grabbing her arm. But it was too late. Claressa stood, her chair screeching against the floor, and the restaurant fell silent. She marched toward Remy, her every step filled with fury. Remy didn't move. She stayed seated, calm, her smirk widening as Claressa loomed over her. "Say something now." Claressa hissed. Remy slowly set her glass down, leaned back, and said with quiet defiance, "You've already lost. Not because you can't fight, but because you can't stop." The words hit harder than any punch. Claressa froze, her fists trembling, torn between unleashing another wave of violence or walking away. The entire room held its breath. For a long, tense moment, it seemed like chaos would erupt again. But this time, Claressa's rage turned into something else. Tears welled in her eyes, her chest heaving. Without a word, she turned and stormed out, leaving Remy seated, victorious, not with fists, but with words. The restaurant erupted in whispers, phones recording every angle. The footage went viral instantly. Fans debated endlessly. Had Claressa finally been defeated, or was she simply biding her time? The fallout was immediate. Remy's calm composure won her waves of public support, while Claressa's breakdown drew both sympathy and criticism. Some praised her vulnerability, while others mocked her for finally cracking. But for those closest to them, one chilling truth lingered. This wasn't over, not truly. Because in the eyes of both women, their scars, physical and emotional, were too deep to ever heal. And the world knew that if fate ever placed them in the same room again, blood would flow once more. What started as a simple clash of egos spiraled into one of the most shocking feuds the entertainment world has ever witnessed. From a bloody lounge brawl to a ruined birthday party, and finally to that tense showdown in Los Angeles. Claressa and Remy Ma pushed each other to the brink, leaving scars that may never truly fade. Fans are still divided, some praising Claressa's fiery determination, others admiring Remy's calculated calmness. But one thing is certain, the world will never forget the chaos these two queens unleashed. The question now is, where does this story go from here? Will Claressa find redemption and regain control of her image? Or will Remy's quiet but ruthless strategy keep her on top? Could there ever be peace between them? Or is this a battle destined to flare up again the moment they cross paths? Nobody knows for sure, and that mystery is exactly what keeps fans glued to every post. Every rumor, every whisper about their next move. And now, we turn it over to you. What do you think really happened behind closed doors? Was Claressa wrong for letting her fists speak louder than her words? Or did Remy push her too far with her subtle jabs and unshakable smirk? If these two meet again, who do you think will come out on top? The unstoppable fighter or the queen of composure? Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed diving into this explosive drama. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more jaw-dropping stories and updates. That will keep you hooked. Remember to drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your side. Team Claressa or Team Remy? The debate starts now.